Hey y'all, Salams, peace, meta. It's Nomad Nana. I'm just gonna give you a quick take on how to keep up the momentum in starting a YouTube channel. So my previous experiences on YouTube when I didn't have any assistants, they all went fine and well and smooth and everything was okay. In fact, that channel is still up and running. I still have new subscribers and a couple thousand views every week. But I also watch YouTube. And so when you watch YouTube, you start to think, oh, well, that's a kind of like nice effect. Let's kind of see how to beef up my, presentation. So I hired an assistant specifically for this. It didn't turn out really well. However, we finally got launched and now she's quit. And I've interviewed for some new assistance because I still think that technology is over my head. It's kind of one of the reasons why I want to talk about this. As the technology grows exponentially, some of us in certain age range find that it's kind of overwhelming. And at the same time, we don't mind looking at a YouTube video, here or there. So the question is, what is it that might keep you on track in terms of trying to do a YouTube channel? And that's the kind of thing that I think that I'm pretty good at. So I want to tell you a little bit about my recent circumstance and use it as a way to kind of encourage you to, hang in there. One of the things that I did was I responded to an idea that came to me based on my experiences as a viewer on YouTube and having only used the platform to do stuff related to my previous academic career. So, there were like lectures on topics that, still near and dear to me. But then I thought, oh, it would be nice to be able to use the channel to do more of the fun stuff and also to create a blog where I keep up with things that are new and exciting in my life, which there's a lot. Thank goodness, thank God, shukrullah. But I'm not near my family. So I always think, like, oh, I want to share this idea or whatever. And I'm not on any of the other platforms. I'm not on Facebook anymore. They kicked me out of Instagram, never to tell me why. Couldn't get back on. And of course, with that other kind of, white rich person transition with Twitter, I left that too. The second time I left Twitter. So I'm on and off, and that's the thing. Nothing is written in blood or stone. So if you decide to go forward, do go forward. If you decide to quit, do quit. But somewhere in between those two things, I want you to think about this. Give yourself some time. Don't expect that the moment you enter into it that, you're going to be a superstar with all kinds of followers and comments and shares and all that kind of stuff, which, like do that stuff because I need that stuff to happen. But the thing is that at a certain level, you really want to move your mind away from, like I do stuff. It's like, wow, she's a senior and, there's no frills. How come she's got, 2.3 million followers? It's like, don't compare yourself to someone who is moving along at a pace so far ahead of where you are that it feels really discouraging that there are only going to be certain increments to get yourself established. In other words, respect the process. Respect the process both for yourself and for the medium, and keep your expectations calibrated at a certain level where, number one, you need incentive and motivation to keep you going. So you don't want to be discouraged right away. And at the same time, you do want to feel like I'm going to make my way forward. So one of the ways that I do things like this is that I will either like create an abstract budget. It's like, how much can I commit to this thing over, and this is the other part of it, give myself a certain period of time, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. I think 2 years is probably the maximum for a projection, and midway through, you should kind of assess, like, am I progressing the way that I expected that I would halfway through, this commitment. Now, the thing about the commitment is this: irrespective of the responses that you get, you want to generate content for your channel. You want to keep it going. You want to keep a pace. You want to develop a kind of style that suits your personality, because, oh my God, there's like, billions of people in the world and billions of styles. So in other words, try what you think works best for you, and don't be afraid to change. So the thing is that, if I started this and I was kind of going here, but I realized that, wow, there's actually more of the kind of interaction with the channel that I like coming from over there, then make the adjustment, commendable to, what is unique and authentic with regard to yourself. In other words, don't just change for change's sake, and don't just change because of something that's popular out there, because if you use something external to your own self, it will run thin at some point, because you're not going from that sort of inner, motivation. So, give yourself freely to, I just have this idea I want to do on YouTube. Trust yourself in that process and give yourself time. Now, the other thing is, and this is where I can tell you I've had the most challenge in terms of doing stuff. This technology stuff moves so quickly. Don't expect that you can be able to keep up with everything. I remember my daughter taught me how to edit my own film so that I don't all the time, which I do in my speech, and so that I don't have too many laps, because those things kind of like, break the flow, even though it's part of natural conversation. And when I learned, I was really fascinated with the things you can do in terms of switching sounds, implanting photos and short videos, which is the kind of stuff that I really like. And I thought, oh, all of this is good, but all of this is really time consuming. And not only that, some of the technology, in my humble opinion, works really well with a certain kind of mindset. Now, those of you in my age range, our children and our children's children, they have had more continuity with this kind of stuff their entire lives. But some of us coming out of the digital age, when they didn't have personal computers, you couldn't do stuff in your house, let alone on your phone in your hand. The stuff is not so easy to make adjustments to. And I want to encourage you to respect that and get assistance. And so again, when you think about a budget, say to yourself, how much can I afford to pay based on where I want to go and how long, I want to be at it. And, then sort of go out there in the market and see what you can get. There are a lot of young people who have the skills, who I think would be happy to help you part-time and not break the bank. So be realistic. If you find someone, in terms of your interaction with them during the process of talking about it, then you really want to work with them, and their request is a little bit above what you had projected. Again, be open to change. Pay a little bit more to work with someone that you're really comfortable with. And also I'm really kind of OCD about being a boss, so I try to set up certain ways of evaluation and feedback so that everybody's on the same page, and that I'm transparent and I'm not taking advantage of someone who, needs a little bit of, side money and can, give, 10, 15 hours a week for something like this. So, be realistic in terms of what you can pay. Don't overpay to the extent that it's like, oh, I can only do this for so long. Why am I paying so much? I don't even see what they're doing. Be patient with what you don't know based on what it is that you are seeking help in. And listen to people. If they come to you and they tell you they can do this and they can do that, or, they're really, really prudent and they estimate things in really, really tight projections and everything, listen to them so that you also understand, well, what does it take for someone to help me? And, don't give up your dreams. That's the thing, like my dream for the Nomad Nana has been ongoing for more than a year, and I just launched. And I'm about to make a transition in terms of my IT support, but I'm making the transition because I did not feel that what was happening by output aligned with, I felt that I was hoping to achieve. And that's a reality. It's not an attestament with regard to the other person, but the thing is that, you have a vision of something and then you want to put it out there. You are negotiating between your vision and those who will be watching, what it is. In other words, there's those to whom you will be visible. And I don't know all that stuff. And I don't want to be distracted, not popular in that sense. And my quest for an audience is because I like to have conversations and I like to be able to engage. So, think about what it is that you want and think about, the confidence that it will take you to say, I can do this too, because guess what? I'm going to put this video out in a few minutes and I've had no tech support in order to be able to get it out there. And that's just to say, sometimes the stuff's funky, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that you have room for improvement. And keep improving and keep growing and keep learning. And when you get a chance, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, you know the drill. Love you, take care. Oh, and keep me in your prayers. I'm really hoping this next step will